Hello? Okay. There we go. Right, we unplugged the mic, plugged the mic back in, and it started working again. Technology. Technology. What can we say? Who even knows? Who even knows? So, now that mild annoyance is out of the way, hello and welcome back to another Tomato Sauce stream. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about the meta. What is going on with my mouse now? All of the technology seems to just be dying all of a sudden. I have no idea why. Apparently the heat is really bad for absolutely everything. There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do about it. But for today, we're going to be talking about the... Once again, my mouse is just like doing its own thing. What is going on? Why is everything broken? Why is everything broken? My mouse is just like randomly now just moving on its own, despite having like no input. And I have no idea why. Now, I'm sure when we're playing card games, that's not going to get annoying in cost us games at all. It's still doing it. It's literally just moving on its own. Is there anything I can do about this? We have nothing else plugged in. It's just moving around on its own. It's just moving around on its own. All of my technology is apparently just dying. Alright, let me see if I can fix this. Give me a sec. Right, we've unplugged the mouse. The mouse is back in. We're going to just try and make sure nothing else can interfere with it. How you looking, mouse? Let's put the camera back on for now. How are you looking, mouse? Are you gonna behave? It looks like it's behaving. It currently looks like it's okay. We'll keep an eye on it. And if it keeps just doing shit on its own, we'll have to address that as it comes up. I don't know what's going on today. Like, everything is just falling apart, apparently. All of my technology was completely fine before we streamed. The second we turn the stream on, everything's gone to shit. We'll just have to address each of these concerns as they arise and kind of go with that. But let's see what happens. So, first things first, let's talk to everyone that's in chat. We have Luis Fernando, who was in here first. Hello, hello. We have Duan in the chat. Hello, hello, Duan. We have Zaki Boys. Hello. We have the Dr. Alex. And we have Corey. Hello, hello. We have Gunkin Suship Shari, banned from Yapping IRL. Nothing can ever stop us from Yapping IRL. It's just the online space is apparently where we can get banned from Yapping. We have a 165 streak from Alex. He is definitely the dedicated one to watch the streams. Chat stream, so it is. TV, your house is haunted. Like Galaxy meta again and again, let's go. I mean, it's not too surprising, realistically. Like, we do tend, in Rush, to fall into these, like, we get stuck with a deck being the best deck for, like, way too long. Like, we had the same thing with Gaia, we had the same thing with Matarion, and even, like, a little ways back, we had the same thing with, like, Psychic, right? We've had these decks be, like, just around for, like, too long. And this is just, like, something we just have to kind of get used to, right? It only moves when you're not looking at it. Weeping Angel style. I mean, it could be. Definitely could be. Also, fantastic episode of the Who, by the way. Just gonna slip that in there. But we have had some interesting leaks. Like, I don't really think the leaks are... The leaks are more interesting for what they don't say than what they do say. Let's put it that way. So I guess we will just jump straight in, right? We'll just jump immediately in and take a look at these leaks. So the first, we got 4 cards leaked. I'm sure the majority of you have already seen these cards and know that these cards are going to have no impact on the meta. But the first one we're getting is this one. So this is its Japanese name, the Iwakai Wave Shaft. This is also going to be known as like Woolly Wonderland Wave Shaft. Send the top 2 cards of your deck to the graveyard, gain 200 life points. If you have a Beast Normal or with 3 or more different attributes in the graveyard, you can summon Sheep Girl Meeg-chan or Miss Mutton from your graveyard face up to your field. This card is, like, fine. This isn't anything, like, absolutely crazy. This is basically, like, if your graveyard's set up, you get a free Meeg. You also get a mill one, which is also quite nice. This isn't going to, like, break the bank. This isn't going to do anything, like, crazy. Hello, Mono. Welcome on in. It's not... Like, this isn't inherently a bad card. It's just not a good card, right? It's not gonna change anything. We'd need, like, a skill to make this, like, actually good. The other cards that we got leaked were Air Ares, which is just the wind beast monster. We got Thunder Llama, which is, again, just a light beast. There's nothing particularly interesting. And then we get Aqua Sheep, which is the water one. And all of these ones have really bad stats, by the way. 1300 is, like, fine. 1200 is, like, passable. 1000 is just really bad. There's not really much to say about these. Maybe this is a level 2 normal, so, like, that can come up, but, like, it's going to be super mean, realistically. It's not going to be any kind of, like, good strategy, realistically. And the only card we're really missing from the Meeg strategy, or the Meeg archetype, I suppose, is Mellow Meeg Ultra Beam. Now, obviously, this name would have to get changed to, I don't know, like, Mega Miss Mutton Beam or something. I don't know what they'd call it, but this is what we don't have. And so this is, if you have Magical Sheep Girl Meeg-chan face up on your field, send 2 beast normal monsters from your hand to the graveyard. So that's already, like, you have to have a 2 tribute monster on the board. Now, obviously, you can get that out easier by using something like your Wave Shaft or using something like Secret Order. But then you have to discard 2 beast normals from your hand. So already quite high investment. Destroy all face up level 8 or lower monsters on the opponent's field. So it's only face up, and it's only 8 or lower, which makes this very restrictive. And this turn you can only attack with beasts. But there is a world in which this sort of OTKs. Right? So it's like... It's neat. It's neat. Meeg-chan meta, let's go. I think they are power creeping Rush too fast. So Rush was fine, right? Until they dropped Light Galaxy and Dark Galaxy Fusion. Right? Those were the 2 straws that broke the camel's back. I don't actually even think Spellcasters is that big of a deal in terms of, like, the competitive meta. Like, you could have Spellcasters as the best deck, and that would be fine. Like, it's a deck, again, it doesn't OTK you. Like, it's still annoying that the best deck would be extremely free-to-play friendly, which means it's the only deck you'd see. It'd be basically a retrain of Gaia format, where Ladder is just that. But I think the meta would be in a healthier spot, personally. Time for Tier 0 Meeg-chan. The skill will be broken, trust. Imagine. If they are not, tons of decks nowadays are at least on that level, and please stop with Crip. I mean, it's whatever, right? Creep, Crip. Just wait until we get an OP skill and the maximum together with it. No fun allowed in the translation team. Apparently not. But these leaks are more telling from what they don't say, right? So what did we not see? We didn't get any skill leaks. We didn't get any other card leaks. This, I would assume, would have been the place where we would have got leaks for an upcoming super mini or deck build or something, right? Because we didn't get them. And again, this, if we do get another product before Worlds, it kind of has to come out, like, in the next couple of weeks. Like, 2 weeks is sort of going to be the cutoff, because the World's players need to submit their deck lists. So we were sort of expecting, like, 2 skills here, and then that would have been enough information for us to be like, okay, that these skills confirm there's a box coming, that box is going to have some cards in it that will maybe shake up the meta, and that will be that. Because we didn't get that, I actually think we're now possibly just leaning into what we have now is just going to be the world's meta. Which is, like, a little bit disappointing. Like, it's not the end of the world, right? And for the majority of players, it doesn't matter. Realistically, only the 8 players going to Worlds are really going to be affected by whether or not we get another box immediately or not. Because, you know, for the average player, they could just release it in, like, 4 weeks or whatever, in a month's time. And then we'll just get those cards anyway. It doesn't really make much difference, right? No skills characters, no box related, no actual support for playable decks. Yeah, it's not the greatest. So what that means is, if we take a look at our spreadsheet, we'll go ahead and make this a little bit more digestible. There we go. So this is the box that we always... Well, if we just get rid of that first. This is the box that we always talk about. The Transcendent Spirigeus. So this is a box that came out on the 6th of the 8th. Now, this made sense because Worlds was held at a later date last year. So this could afford to come out on the 6th of August, right? The issue is, we need this to be out like a week earlier in order for this to kind of be ready for Worlds. Now, I don't know the exact World submission date, but this has to be out very, very soon if it's going to. Now, the reason we're like, oh, you know, this could be a product that's coming out is because, well, Heavy Strike Excavator came out on the 27th of the 6th, and guess what came out on the 27th of the 6th? So exactly 1 year later, Flash of Shining Flare came out, which meant, again, following the precedent set by last year, they could release another product on the 6th. But again, the 6th is a little bit late, so it's a bit awkward. It's a bit awkward. Light Galaxy would be a little more nerfed, but not killed. It would be an actual nice meta with a bunch of decks. So the meta does have a decent amount of variety. It's just there's very clearly a best deck out of all of them. The other issue to be addressed is that although the meta is like somewhat diverse, pretty much every deck in the meta is basically an OTK deck or has OTK capability, which has its own slew of issues, right? Do we want every deck in the meta to just be OTKing each other? Now, I do think it's a little bit hyperbolic to just be like, everyone's killing each other on turn 2, there's nothing you can do, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, there are a lot of games that are just ending on turn 2 because you just draw really good. Now, I don't think the number of games that actually do end on turn 2 are that high. I think most of the time we're making it to turn 3, turn 4. But there are a non-0% of games just ending on turn 2 because of how powerful the decks are, right? It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. I think the dissatisfaction is that 2 lists and a new box and Light Galaxy are dominating. The dissatisfaction is that 2 lists and a new box... Oh, 2 banned lists and a new box and Light Galaxy are still dominating. I assume that's the takeaway from that. I think that's fine. Like, Light Galaxy should still be allowed to be the best deck. What the issue is how dominant it is, right? If the gap is too big, that's what breeds the dissatisfaction. So yesterday I went through the magical experience of having Light Galaxy use their entire hand, refill it completely, then use the entire hand again. Now I want it gone out of spite. And I think that is fair enough. So if we pop down here, so this is the meta in its entirety. So this is everything. This is including the pre-ban list hits, right? So we've got Light Galaxy, 57.1% of the meta. So this is to anyone that's not really sure, this isn't very healthy. Approaching 60%, that's really rough. So in rush terms, this is like approaching tier 0, right? This isn't like quote-unquote tier 0, right? This isn't, you know, because again, tier 0 is something I don't really like throwing around because, again, people get very defensive. People get very opinionated about tier 0. Tier 0, like, some people will say, oh, tier 0 is 100% this. This is the definition of tier 0. And it's like, there isn't really an agreed upon idea of what tier 0 is. It's different for different people. But we're getting close. 57% is kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. But this is, again, everything put together. If we take a look at just since the changes, the ban list changes, we're looking at this. So we've got Light Galaxy, we've got Baseball, we've got Tearfing. Now, again, this is only 3 tournaments worth of data, so this isn't, like, super indicative of anything. Obviously, 66.7% Light Galaxy is quite troubling, but this is only a very small sample size, so we shouldn't read too much into that at the moment. Looks like a diagram for current OCG meta, Chaos Ritual after Harpy's tier 0 meta. I mean, kind of. Like, Chaos Ritual was so good. Like, it's actually insane. Never thought I'd miss Gaia format. I mean, Gaia format has its own, like, big issues, right? Like, we come down here, like, Gaia Matarium was 61%, right? And if we take a look after the changes, Gaiamatarian was still 54%. So, like, it's still not as bad as this. But, again, like, this is a small sample size, but we're kind of heading in that trajectory. Right? Because the other issue is, we've already reached the stage where players have kind of stopped playing Light Galaxy. Like, a lot of the better players, in terms of, like, you know, the players that are consistently winning tournaments, the players that are going to Worlds, the players that are consistently, like, proving themselves to be really competent players, have kind of stopped playing Light Galaxy, because they're like, I have nothing more to gain from this deck. Like, the only thing I have to gain is, like, I don't know, the prize money for winning the tournament, so people are, like, trying a lot of other things. And because of that, Light Galaxy's numbers have actually dropped down a bit, and there's only, like, the few dedicated few that are still grinding it out. Because this is what usually happens, right? People get bored of a deck, and then they just stop playing other decks. The missing deck for yesterday's tournament is Light Galaxy. Nice. I think I knew it was, like, or I was almost certain it was, but I never actually, like, filled it in. Baseball Bros. I mean, yeah, baseball did get a win. It was a really interesting tournament yesterday, let's put it that way. Tachyon being tier 0 in Speed Duel and Light Galaxy nearing tier 0 or like top tier 1 is kind of funny. Hello, Duel Links Alpha. We should definitely give a shout out to Alpha. I haven't actually been able to catch many of Duel Links Alpha's streams lately because he streams at really weird times for me. But we should always show our support because Alpha is absolutely incredible. Everyone knows Alpha. Alpha's lovely. Alpha is such a lovely guy. But yeah, it's a weird one. There are rush leaks. There were 4 cards leaked, Manicist. I'm sure you've already seen them. I'm sure you've already seen the 4 rush card leaks. Only 4 Meek-chan cards. Just be up at really weird times for you. It's not that awful. The issue is my mornings are usually very busy. So, like, I think you stream at, like, 9 or 8 a.m. for me. Which, like, isn't, like, I'm awake then. But, like, the morning is when I get most of my work done. So, like, it's really difficult to, like, catch a stream at those times. It's really weird. Nope, I haven't. I mean, right, so the cards that you missed are, we got Wave Shaft. This is the only card that matters. And it doesn't really matter. Send the top card deck to the graveyard, gain 200 life points. If you have beast-type normal monsters with 3 or more different attributes in the graveyard, special summon Miss Mutton from your graveyard face up to your field. And then the other ones are all just vanillas. Like, there's nothing particularly exciting going on. Got some rarity changes. I mean, that's pretty cool. They're waking up the sheeple with these leaks. But yeah, it's... The meta is in a weird spot. Like, looking at this. This isn't, like, awful. Like, this Light Galaxy, ideally, we'd like to see, like, a line going across, like, here. Right? We want to, like, cut a lot of this Light Galaxy out. But Light Galaxy is just so strong, right? The deck does everything. Light Galaxy is able to pop back row just kind of natively. It's able to mill infinitely. The value you get from Extraplora is really, really high. It's a really strong Secret Order deck. The boss monster is just an OTK machine. The deck has easy access to piercing and can, but doesn't usually, run the ability to change your opponent's battle position as well, which can make it even more deadly, but I think for the most part people kind of agree they don't really need that. It's kind of nuts, right? The deck does a little bit of everything, which, again, isn't the end of the world. If we had 8,000 life points, and if we didn't have skills that make it ultra consistent, because the thing is, this deck was a reasonably strong deck in OCG. But it wasn't as dominant as it is in Duel Links because 1, we had a lot of other decks that were at a similar power level. 2, getting to 8,000 damage is a lot harder than getting to 6,000 damage. And 3, we didn't have a skill that basically sorts everything out for you and gives you a free +1. That's what it really comes down to. This deck in Duel Links is cracked. In OCG, this was a balanced deck. This deck was strong, but it wasn't, like, insanely dominant. In Duel Links, though, this is bonkers. This is actually just kind of crazy. And I think that's something we're going to see at Worlds as well. We had a similar thing last year, where everyone knew going into Worlds that Psychic was the best deck. And I think going into this year at Worlds, everyone knows that Light Galaxy is going to be the best deck. Let's see what the, do we have the data from? I mean, we're going to have the data. Transcendence Mirror Gear. So this would have been the Worlds format. So this was last year's Worlds, right? We had Psychic, Cyburst, Machine, Royal Rebels, and then it was like, some people brought SAR, some people brought Blue Eyes, A couple of people brought Noodles. I think Zeta took Aqua, like Bubble Era. But like for the most part, this was our meta. Now this, this looks a hell of a lot healthier, right? Look at 32% as the best deck. That's great. Like it's the best deck. It's twice as good as the other decks still, but it's not insanely dominant, right? That's kind of what we want. That's what we're looking for. Tomato Sauce stream on my birthday peak. Hello, Hidden Bankai. Welcome, welcome. I guess I could try them. Where are they coming from, Trader? We don't know. Trader would make sense, right? Like Trader or some little minor event and they're like the freebie cards that are thrown in, something like that. Hello, Drags, and welcome, welcome on in. Never mind, those are the woolly cards. Yeah, yeah, it's because they're in Japanese, they're Iwakai. In English, they're Woolly Wonderland. That's what like Iwakai gets translated to. But it is what it is. I said yesterday, but World's going to be interesting because there's a few decks that use cards as staple across all three, like Order of Fusion. The thing is, I don't know if that means it's going to be interesting. I think that's interesting in the same way that, like, oh, that's neat. That will be interesting as a thought experiment. When you like sit down and actually think about the decks that people are going to be bringing and like how they translate cards across the decks, though, I don't think there's going to be that much decision to be made. I think it's quite obvious what decks people are going to take, right? Like, we're going to be seeing Light Galaxy. We're probably going to see Red Boot, because although Red Boot has been falling off as of late, like, I mean, when's the last time we saw a Red Boot top? Like, I mean, I guess Quantum Rush, then before that, it was, like, RDL Weekly, like, a week ago. So, like, Red Boot has been falling off, but it's still a very strong deck that can just steal wins, and I think that still does make it a prominent pick for Worlds. E-Hero, again, you do need to high roll a bit as E-Hero, but again, you can just kill someone with like a double Shining play, right? So that's, again, probably a deck people are going to bring. I would expect these three, and then it's like Spellcaster's been falling off. Do people take Spellcaster? It's probably the next best deck still. Baseball has been doing well, especially yesterday, like it did quite well, but is that enough to be like, okay, I'll take Baseball to Worlds? Then there's Tear Thing, which is like, it's always kind of been there. It's relatively strong. We did just see, again, Dark Galaxy Fusion did get, like, unhit a little bit, so maybe there's a bit of strength there as well. The issue is, even if there's a couple of decisions to be made about what decks people take, I don't know if they're interesting decisions. I think they're just decisions. And I think that's where it starts to fall apart, because Worlds could still just be a bit of a sack fest, which I think would be a bit disappointing, but I think that's where we're leaning. And I don't necessarily think we're going to see, like, the best Rush player win Worlds. It'll be whoever just didn't bring the wrong decks. Rather than who brought the right decks, it's going to be who didn't bring the wrong decks. And then it's going to be who just, like, won the coin toss the most, who sacked harder. And I'm not sure that's going to make for, like, a fantastic playing experience, right? Do we know the Duelist of Worlds? We do. I don't know them all myself. So we know Parko is from NA along with Quantum. We know it's Giorfio and Zenzo from EU. And that's all I've got. I don't know who's going from the other countries. I've got NA and EU down though. That's all I've got. Well, with one more box, probably we'll have something better than Light Galaxy, like Psychic in last year. I mean, potentially, but it's like we don't know if we're getting that, right? Like I was saying, if we were expecting to get a Transcendence Mirror Geass, but like for this year, we were expecting to have the leaks in this latest update that we got. Because we didn't, I'm now like, I mean, it could just come out with no leaks. There is a chance of that. Like, so in the next couple of weeks it could drop, but it has to come out in like 2 weeks is kind of expected. 3 weeks is really pushing it. It's like really pushing it. I think Baseball is better than Sevens. I think Baseball can high roll to be better than Sevens. Because it's literally what it comes down to is Baseball, generally, the best way to play Baseball is with Dragonic Pressure, because that lets you actually OTK. If you're not playing Pressure, you're basically just hoping your opponent misplays, or you're relying on a bunch of traps to do the heavy lifting, even though a lot of the better decks can just like play around the traps. So, for example, there was one build that did quite well. Where was it? It was this one. The one that got second place in Quantum Rush. This deck was stacking traps, but if you look at those traps, they're not actually very good into Light Galaxy. So it was just like, I don't know, it just feels like it would just lose to Light Galaxy very, very, very hard. But, again, if you play the Dragonic Resonance version, you can just wipe the board no matter what, and then always have an OTK opportunity. You just need to sack a little bit. So you just need to make sure you find the residence. You need to make sure your opponent doesn't have any trap cards to stop you. You need to make sure you find a Grand Slam Dragon, and then you need to just make sure you have all the rest of the pieces set up, right? So you're going to need when you activate the skill, you're going to need a bunch of other bits and bobs. Is that Crimson Reaper raiding with 3 duelists? Hello, hello, welcome on in, everyone. I didn't even realize Crimson was streaming. How is it going, everyone? We should give a shout out to Crimson for sure. Let's give a shout out to Crimson. We have to now make sure we spell the name correctly. This is where we always fall apart. Bam, there we go. But yeah, hello, hello. How was your stream? How did it go? What were you guys doing? I assume you were doing something Duel Links related. That's usually what it is, but who knows? We were also missing out on the chat a little bit as well. Yeah, but because of World's rules with the card sharing, you might need to bring decks you wouldn't expect to keep cards in decks that are good. For example, Fusion with Light Galaxy. In order to Light Galaxy, maybe we can't play baseball. That is something I'm actually curious about. I would, as just a rule, I would say that Fusion shouldn't be it should be an automatic card that you can include in every single deck. Because it's just like, it's such a key piece in so many different decks. Saying that, it doesn't need to be, because like Red Boot doesn't play Fusion, right? E-Hero only needs 1 Fusion. Spellcasters obviously needs Fusion. Baseball doesn't need Fusion. Tearfing doesn't need Fusion. So you could play around it. But it's just one of those weird cards. Altergeists, but Master Duel. Ah, I see. Master Duel. How did that go? I assume you were dominating, right? You must have been dominating. Royals, Rebels, Rim World. I mean, that would be cool. That would be really cool. Every data available says otherwise. I mean, it's one of those weird ones where I think that Spellcaster is the sort of deck that is really good at being consistent. It will consistently do almost every game the exact same thing. It's always good at doing what it does. Baseball is a bit more high roll. But when it high rolls, Baseball is going to absolutely just OTK you and dominate. So, like, it's a weird sort of, well, do you value consistency, but you're not really ever going to OTK anyone? Or do you value high roll, but you're just going to win the game if you high roll? So it's like, it's a weird toss-up for me. I don't think necessarily one deck is better than the other, outside of, like, look at it like tournament representation. That's the only real metric we have to go by. Hear me out, Rhynac Fusions. I don't think we're getting that somehow. I just realized something. I think we got the World Championship rewards too early because apparently the qualifiers just happened. Hello, King John. Welcome. Potentially. Yeah, pressure is the way IMO. Yeah, that's what I think as well. Congratulations, by the way, Dwan, on winning yesterday against Takari in the finals with Baseball. You are now the only person to ever win a tournament with Baseball. That is quite the achievement. A Dark Galaxy being best deck mindset. That's always good. That's always good. Dark Galaxy Fusions is not doing well. I mean, Dark Galaxy Fusion did okay for a bit, right? Like, we saw it get 2 top 8 finishes without getting Corridor back. So, and then it did get a 1 top 8 finish after it did get Corridor back. So, you never know. You never know. You can open the 4-card OTK combo and just sack going second. There you go. That's all you need. That's all we need. They won all matches besides 1. I mean, that's good. That's good. You know me, Tomato, always dominating on the Geist. Nice. Nice. Let me sing you a Requiem for the living. The problem with 7s is with the triple board boss. Yeah, I mean, 7s is always going to have a problem, right? No deck is infallible except Light Galaxy. That deck is hella infallible. Baseball Bros. There's got to be a Sidra card or 2 in the next box because of processor. I mean, potentially. Like, you'd think we'd get a skill or something as well, but, like, we just got a bunch of hero cards and we didn't get a skill, which is also, like, come on, guys, where new skill? But if we do get a new box, again, it could change everything, but, again, I could be wrong, but in my mind, I just feel like we would have gotten leaks for a new box, either skills or some cards or something in this latest update. And, like, I hope I'm wrong, because I think, personally, I do think we should have a new product before Worlds. I think that just makes sense. But worst case scenario, this isn't like awful, right? It's because players are forced to bring 5 decks, it's not just going to be like Light Galaxy wins everything. It just means players are going to just... I almost think the worst thing that could happen is that you both players bring their Light Galaxy at the same time. And then they just have to like see who sacks the other one in the Light Galaxy mirror. And then they just automatically go 1-up before anything's even started. Whereas otherwise, if it's Light Galaxy into non-Light Galaxy, right? Theoretically, both players get like an automatic win, and then you start playing the actual tournament. Like it's a weird way to think of it. My theory is they immediately reprint it. It's going to be wrong, but it would be so funny. I hope they don't. Tomato, what is the best 5 decks in your opinion? Okay. Alright, I think... Alright, goes without saying, Light Galaxy is the best deck. I wholeheartedly believe that. Then it gets a bit weird, because, like... I think all of these decks, all 5 of them, they're at around the same level. They just have different, like, ways that they accomplish things. So, Red Boot is pretty hyper-specific, but it can absolutely punish people, right? If you just draw a good hand with Red Boot, you can just win the game through anything, right? Now, the issue is, I say through anything, through nothing. You can win the game through nothing. If your opponent doesn't have their trap cards, you can win the game. The problem is, you need to open your Red Boot. You have to open Red Boot. If you don't open Red Boot, you're not killing anyone. On top of that, you need to make sure you have a way to flip something up. Because if your opponent's playing sensibly, they'll be setting their cards. So that means you need either Curse, but then people can play around that. So you're probably going to be needing something like Flat Dragon. So now it's like you need Flat Dragon and you need Red Boot. And then pretty much you're just going to have the damage needed to kill. Now, what people have started doing is they don't put monsters in defense position that aren't big enough to survive the hit. The issue with that is, now you're just saying that your opponent can just summon out an extra guy and attack over. Like, so now, like, you flip a guy up, attack over it, and then if your opponent, like, leaves 2 empty monster zones, you can just normal summon something else and attack, and just win that way. So, like, there isn't really a good way to, like, play around Red Boot, in my opinion. Like, I almost feel like the only good way to play around Red Boot is to summon out multiple big guys. And the only deck that can, like, consistently do that is going to be, like, Light Galaxy. You could make an argument for Spellcaster, because they can end on, like, a Charmy and a 7's Rogue. Which is, like, fine, but 21 is not, like, huge. It's probably enough to survive, though. Skystream Structure Agenda. I mean, I still think it would make sense, right? Red Boot and Hero as 2 together. The thing is, though, I don't personally believe Red Boot and Hero are much further ahead than Spellcasters and Baseballs and even Tearfing. Like, all of these decks are still really good. Because, like, the issue is, again, this deck can just sack you, and then, like, I mean, it's not easy to see, to be honest. Let's come down here a little bit. Red Boot can just sack you, and there's not really anything you can do about it. It's like, have the Legend Trap or die. And Red Boot just does that. But Elemental Hero can also do that. They can also put you in a situation of have Legend Trap or die. Spellcasters don't really do that, but they're like the outlier of the format. And then Baseball can also put you in a situation of have Legend Trap or die. And then Tearfing, you can play around this the most, but they can still just kill you out of nowhere, because you can play just one monster in defense. But then if your opponent just, like, pierces over it and summons out 3 big guys, they'll just attack over you and kill you anyway. So, like, it's kind of a have your Legend Trap or die. So it's a weird format we're in, where almost all of these decks, they won't do it 100% of the time, but they will often enough put you in a situation of have your Legend Trap or die, which is like, it's so frustrating sometimes. Because again, you can say that, and some people will sit there and say that happens every game. They always put you in that position. That's not strictly speaking true. I think that's being a little bit hyperbolic. But it still happens in at least like a third of games, I would say. Dark Galaxy top 5 if you draw Godly. I mean, potentially, right? I mean, Tear Thing is still just like a silly OTK deck, right? They could just absolutely just steal games anyway. And then, like, if you just have Dark Hole Device, regular Dark Galaxy Fusion is still crazy. That deck is still insane. You just have to make sure you just have Dark Hole Device, right? If you don't drop boss, you're playing set 3 past turn. Exactly. And that is where it gets confusing, because now, like, you can be playing, like, the mirror of, like, Red Boot into Red Boot, right? And one player opens Red Boot, and the other player doesn't. Well, guess which player is probably going to win, right? You can be playing Baseball into Baseball, right? And again, one player opens a boss monster. The other one doesn't. Okay, again, it doesn't take a genius to work out who has the massive lead here. Because if Baseball just, like, opens the 4-card combo, they're just going to win, right? So, in a lot of ways, it becomes less about, like, your deck choice. It becomes less about the actual skill of playing, and it's just more about, like, what hand do you draw on the day, and did you go first or second? And, like, I don't know. I don't think that's great for the game personally. Red Boot on ladder has to be, like, the biggest menace to people. That's not surprising at all. People just put shit in attack mode. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I think Dragonic Pressure should be hit. I mean, it's a weird card to hit, because it's literally, like, it's only seeing play in Baseball. And Baseball, like, has one tournament win. I don't know, it's a weird one, it's a weird one. Hello, Shui, you have the out or die. I mean, basically, right? We'll do exclamation mark. Shui. We've always got to give the shout out to my man, Shui. If we hit Dark Hole Device, we should not have Dragonic Pressure. I do think they are not quite on the same level, to be fair. Dark Hole Device is... You can get it back from the graveyard using a fusion monster that's very easy to get out. That fusion monster also has protection from that card itself. And if you have a fusion monster, you don't have to discard any cards. Dark Hole Device is so much better than Dragonic Pressure. Dragonic Pressure is still really good, and is obviously very comparable, but they are not on the same level. Realistically, Dark Hole Device is like a so much stronger version of the card. Ladder is still 7s and heroes. Not surprising at all, really, is it? Also, hello, a human Portuguese dub fan. Welcome, welcome. We have leaks. We have the sheeps. That's what the leaks were. We had the sheeps. Everyone's probably already seen them before. We have Wave Shaft. We have Air Ares. We have Thunder Lambda. And we have Aqua Sheep. Nothing like crazy. This is the only card that really matters, and it doesn't really matter that much. I remember last season, my rank up to COG was someone who used Rush on Baseball. I mean, I did COG last season on Baseball. So like, maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm part of the problem. Hidden Hot Salty getting sacked by Dragonic Pressure, and he wants it hit. I mean, that's fine. You can absolutely want that, though. I got hit by it one time too much. It's one of those things where I don't think it needs to be hit, because even when you do get the Resonance combo off, it doesn't feel consistent enough in Baseball. Like, the Baseball skill will let you get 2 cards to your hand, which you can just grab, like, 2 dragons. Bam, you've got 2 out of 3 cards you need. But you still need a 3rd dragon. You still need your Grand Slam. You still need the Field Spell. You still need Utopia. Right? So you still need all of these cards. Now again, the skill will search 2 of those, but you still need like 4 other cards. So like, it's not a consistent strategy. It will work out sometimes, and it'll be really cool when it does. And it's really strong. But it's not like Red Boot, where you just need to open 2 cards and you're good to go. It's not like Light Galaxy, where you don't really have to open anything and you're probably still good to go. Right? It's not on the same level. Beat like a sheep. Hello, Sakadetsu. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Mr. Tomato in chat. Hello, hello. It doesn't help that my friend's main deck was high-tech with pressure. I mean, that's an interesting combination. I don't think pressure adds much to the high-tech strategy, unless we're talking about, like, OCG. Give the Baseball skill to Dark Galaxy being best. Why did it add being best? I swear. You know what? Dark Galaxy being best is the best autocorrect. It was before the fusions? Ah, I see, I see. Well, then, yeah, that was absolutely an inclusion that everyone used. But, again, if we take a look at the data again, but, like, post-ban list, it's this at the moment. Again, this is only 3 tournaments, so we still have a long way to go before we actually fill in the gaps, but we're in a weird spot. Now, we spoke about this a little bit already, but do we think the meta is currently in a good spot, right? Now, obviously, nobody really wants Light Galaxy to be this dominant. Realistically, it's not great for that. But we are still seeing Red Boot, we are still seeing Hero, we are still seeing Spellcasters, we are still seeing Baseball, we are still seeing Tearfing. And these decks are making it to top 4. So it's not like the meta is super... It's not like it's a one deck format, right? There are still other decks that are making their way in. The issue is Light Galaxy is just overly dominant, right? And I think that's where things start to get a bit blurry, because we've been used to... I mean, Light Galaxy was still absolutely dominant last meta, but if we go like before that, this was our fake meta, we also didn't really count that. We're kind of used to this now. Like, we had Gaia Metarian as like an unbelievably dominant deck. Before that, we had Dragons and Psychic vying for it, but like this was just a 2-deck meta instead of a 1-deck meta, right? Like realistically. And if you look at these 2 decks, this takes up so much more than any of these 1-deck metas, right? This quote-unquote Gaia Metarian 1-deck meta is only 61%, but this quote-unquote 2-deck meta was 76% or 77%, right? So that is... In terms of like what makes up the top spots, like there is actually a massive difference, and arguably Dragon Psychic meta was like worse. Hello Tomato Sesso, hello Giorfio, and is that a Toti I see here? Hello OG Toti, Spellcasters are good, everyone just burnt themselves out on playing them. I think Spellcasters is fine. Like people keep saying this, like Spellcasters are falling off or whatever. Spellcasters are fine. There's nothing wrong with Spellcasters. The only issue is they're playing a different game to everyone else. Spellcasters are playing like a sort of control, sort of I can set up my board, I can make a big like field of guys, I can play trap cards to a decent extent, my game plan's really consistent, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing every single game. I'm not going to OTK you very often, but I do have the ability to on occasion. Every other deck is going, I'm going to high roll and beat the fuck out of you and just kill you in one turn. And it feels like Spellcasters is the only deck in the meta not doing that. Right, it's the only deck that sits there and goes, I'm quite happy to not high roll you, and I'm going to kill you slowly over 2 turns, and hope you don't kill me in that 1 turn I give you, and I'm going to play some trap cards to stop you from doing that ideally. Every other deck is just, I'm going to high roll, and I'm going to just absolutely obliterate you. Now, we need a plant skill. We've always needed a plant skill. We always need a plant skill. I want to play plants. Everyone wants to play plants, but they're so bad. It's so sad. We even have the same problem in thingy as well, in OCG. I literally ban Eternal and literally free Secret Order, and it's cool. How would freeing Secret Order help the situation, just out of curiosity? Because there's a lot of decks that would like suddenly rise to power. But like, does that... I don't actually, does that even matter? An interesting one. I think Spellcasters